Fitness here, and today I want to discuss domestication, specifically domestication of plants. And this you can relate to by simply going to your grocery store and picking up the nearest head of lettuce. So, let's say you have a nice big head of romaine lettuce that you're holding. Um, you notice that when you consume it, it has a pretty mild taste and generally is a very, very big head. Um, and so the difference between this lettuce and the wild lettuce, or the progenitor lettuce species that you would find outside, native to the Northeast, would be that this species, the progenitor species, would be much, much more bitter and in fact would look nothing like the lettuce that you buy in the store. It would be much smaller and compact, and you would notice that it has very, very serrated edges and very sharp spines which protect the plant from being overconsumed by predators. Now, the main difference between the lettuce that you buy in the store and the lettuce that you would find out in the wild um, is its phytochemistry. By phytochemistry, I mean the components that protect the plant. And turns out that many of these flavonoids and antioxidants, which protect the plant, also protect our body when we consume them. So it's a very good idea to be consuming wild plants on a regular basis, and I hope later on in other videos I can convince you why this is true. So the reason that you should avoid domesticated produce in the store is not necessarily because it's bad for you, but rather there's a better alternative, and it just takes a little bit of know-how, and you can find easily many wild plants that grow in your area, which you can start consuming simply by a few chapters in one of these books. This one's specifically by a guy named Samuel Fair, Nature's Garden, a guide to identifying, harvesting, and preparing wild edible plants. And many species that grow around us we don't really realize and take into consideration that are edible. Now, back to the domestication issue. What does it really mean for a plant to be domesticated? And the answer is successive breedings over generations and generations to yield a characteristics in which you desire. So if you're going for a bigger, milder taste, you would have to breed your original progenitor plant with other plants in that species which contain those specific traits. And over generation and generation and generation, you begin to weed out the characteristics which you find are unpalatable, and eventually, boom, you have your huge head of lettuce, which doesn't really taste like much and lacks in phytochemistry extremely. So, the bitter compounds that you often find in wild lettuce or plants such as dandelion, which grow in your backyard, are in fact those alkaloids which protect our body from these degenerative diseases, which have rampantly affected our nation today. I hope that helps, guys, and gives you a little bit of an insight on why it is important to consume wild food. And we're going to be getting into that in much more detail in later videos. I hope you guys enjoy.